What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here. Thank you so much for joining me, and today we are going to be discussing how you can one-phase kill Gahlran, the boss at the end of the Crown of Sorrows raid just introduced in this season of Opulence. This is a pretty hectic encounter. There's a lot of things you need to do perfectly to get to a damage phase on this boss, and if you don't kill him in one damage phase and have to go to the next one, there's a pretty good chance things are gonna go wrong, especially if you are a new group. If you can guarantee that one damage phase kill, it's gonna make this boss fight a heck of a lot easier. And so, let's get started. Now, thankfully, with this encounter, there's not like one specific thing you need to do or use per se in order to get a one-phase kill. So if you don't have like one very hard to get weapon, you can still substitute other very good weapons and likely get it done. So let's firstly talk about some of the things that you can do, not talking about equipment just yet, some of the things you can just do in general to improve your chances to get a one-phase kill. Firstly, the encounter level is 735. Hitting that milestone is important. If you're below that, you'll do a significant amount of less damage. Next, you do definitely want 2 Wells of Radiance with Lunafaction boots. The damage phase is actually long enough that it will surpass 1 Well of Radiance. It will run out while you can still actually damage this boss. So having a replacement well, or possibly having a ton of hunters that are spec'd into Bottom Tree Golden Gun, they can get a bunch of headshots, produce a bunch of orbs, and get the original well user's well back. That's a little overcomplicated, just have a second warlock in there. Now, as for Titans, generally you have one Titan running bubble to help kill the boss, but if you're high enough light, you don't really need that. You can actually change your Titans to Striker Titan, because as of Arc Week, you can spec into Bottom Tree and get the Frontal Assault perk, strike an enemy with this melee ability to reload your weapon and increase both your weapon stability and weapon damage. So you get your own personal Well of Radiance a little bit. You get a damage bonus for just hitting an enemy, and enemies will be around during the damage phase. In fact, let's talk about those enemies because that's another big tip. There are going to be Thralls pushing you while you are damaging this raid boss. You need to deal with these guys. I see so many groups try to ignore them, get tunnel vision, damaging the boss. Even my own groups, we sometimes get mad at each other for not killing these darn guys. If you have the buff, make sure that you're throwing grenades and killing these Thralls. In fact, I would highly recommend that everyone use grenades that inflict damage over time. Throwing one will deal with the Thralls for a decent chunk of time, but if you are a warlock that is blessed, before you throw that grenade, get a hit. Hitting one of these Thralls is going to give you an empowered melee, boosting damage for everyone nearby, which is your entire team pretty much, by 20%. Free damage on the table. Alright, now moving on from there, let's talk about the weaponry you're going to be doing the damage with. First and foremost, one member of your group should be using the tractor cannon. It is going to inflict a debuff on any target it hits, so they take 50% more damage from all void sources, 30% more damage from everything else. Now the thing about Gahlran is that you can actually get close enough, as you can see in the background gameplay, to apply the tractor cannon debuff. That is very important. Now the way I'm doing it in the background gameplay isn't exactly optimal. I'm shooting him and then normally you have a 10-second window of this debuff, but with this guy, because he's a special raid boss, it doesn't seem to last that long. You can actually see him kind of glow purple, and when that glows away, you're probably going to want to shoot and reapply that damage increase. So if you do have someone that has the catalyst that lets you have more reserve ammunition, that's going to let you just constantly reapply that debuff and just make him take more damage for the entire encounter. The other 5 people should be in the Well of Radiance going to town. But what should they be using? Well, first and foremost, the absolute highest DPS that you can get is from the Swarm of the Raven Iron Banner Grenade Launcher. Why? Well, mainly it's because it can get spike grenades. In fact, any 150 archetype grenade launcher that does come with spike grenades as a perk, which lowers their blast radius but increases the damage, is going to be outputting a significant amount of damage. The reason the Swarm of the Raven is the best is because it's the right archetype of grenade launchers. Grenade launchers recently received massive buffs, so they're doing super well right now, and it's void, so it works extra well with the tractor cannon. Now, if you don't have specifically Swarm of the Raven or any 150 grenade launcher with spike grenade, what next? Well, luckily there's a very common option, the Prospector exotic grenade launcher. This outputs, again, a significant amount of damage and can definitely be capable of one-phasing. Also, the very new Wendigo Vanguard Pinnacle grenade launcher is just behind it in terms of damage output, with 6 shots of explosive light. Now, this gun works such that when you pick up an orb of light, it's going to charge around up to ×6, and it has 6 rounds in the mag. So a good idea is to just shoot the first 6 rounds that are actually doing a significant amount of damage, and then perhaps switch to something else. Because something that is still very efficient is the Outbreak Perfected Exotic Pulse Rifle. This is extremely consistent when combined with someone with the tractor cannon, and especially if you have a few people shoot like 6 Wendigo shots off the start and then switch to their Outbreak for the rest of the encounter, and you will see that happen in the background gameplay. We are mainly using Outbreak Perfecteds. You can still achieve a one phase with that gun. Now, why is that good? Because the Swarm of the Raven, the Prospector, the Wendigo all outdamage this gun. But the Outbreak is a primary, and that means that you can run like a heavy machine gun and use it to massive advantage when dealing with the adds and when shooting Gahlran's hands and all of that stuff. So being able to more liberally use your special and heavy on the adds in case you're in trouble and then rely on a primary to DPS is super advantageous, and people often overlook that. But again, it's not near the top for DPS. The good news about the Swarm of the Raven, 150 grenade launchers with spike nades, the Wendigo, is that you can use those weapons in addition to the Outbreak Perfected. And because they're legendary, you can apply a boss spec mod to make them deal even more damage. Now, there are a couple of more options out there. Specifically, the Mountaintop grenade launcher does a significant amount of damage, and the Bad Omens rocket launcher with cluster bomb isn't too shabby either. In my overall recommendation, it would be an Outbreak Perfected combined with Swarm of the Raven or a 150 spike or Wendigo. Now, if you don't have any of those different things, maybe running the Prospector is the next safest option. Alright guys, and that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this, found it informative, and good luck on your one phases. Guys, if you want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.